Good evening and a warm welcome. You're tuned in to ENCA broadcasting live from Johannesburg. I'm Poppie Mphuthing. Many thanks for watching. In your top story, we start with fresh claims of political violence in Zimbabwe. The Nigerian army claims it's uncovered a terror plot. It says Boko Haram sect members have hired mercenaries and are allegedly planning coordinated attacks during an important Muslim holiday. All right, let's take you closer to this story now. Joining us live on the line from Lagos, our West Africa Bureau Chief, Kwangu Liwewe. Good evening to you, Kwangu. So the military is claiming there's a plot. Is this just an excuse for the security forces to again trample on basic human rights?
Well, Poppy, it does come as a surprise that the Joint Task Force made this announcement.
So it sounds like a very strong message needs to be sent out to African governments about even getting into wars and conflicts because of the long-term damage it's doing to societies.
Absolutely. I mean, one would hope that nobody ever wants to go into war, but we see throughout the continent and that wars, the legacy of wars, lasts much longer than those wars themselves, and it's just never easy to pick a country back up.
Good evening to you, Minister. Tell us, what's the significance of KLM's return to Zimbabwe?
Its re-entry obviously is an endorsement of everything that is happening in the country. For us, it's a brand endorsement.
For many of us, blood donation is a daunting idea, and for many others, it hasn't even crossed our minds. But consider this, when you make the choice to donate, you also make the choice to save a life. What do you believe is motivating the legal challenge that Mr. Nyamwasa have his refugee status in South Africa revoked?
I believe what is motivating the legal or the case against Nyamwasa is totally political vendetta by President Kagame.
Davin, I'd like to just turn to you again. As you heard our guest, Mr. Ntwali, he seems convinced that President Paul Kagame is conducting a vendetta against Fosa Nyamwasa. So more specifically, what is it that you think Nyamwasa has done? What evidence is on the table that says he should no longer have refugee status?
There's evidence from the Spanish authorities, French authorities, and there's a clear violation of the refugee framework within South Africa.
Behind the scenes, it's here that designers from across the continent and the diaspora prepare to show the world the allure of Africa. Mercedes-Benz Fashion Week Africa is, of course, about celebrating and showcasing Africa's top designer talents, their style, and, of course, their glamour. But it's also about spotting and investing in the next generation of homegrown talents. The 2010 parade sees Joburg Pride come of age as it turns 21. It is Africa's largest and oldest gay and lesbian event.
It is quite cool to be able to live freely and not compromise our rights as gay people.
I'm here proud because I'm a lesbian, and it's an important event to me because everybody showed their sexuality and they've only got one day. And other than that, everybody just discriminates against us.
One of America's hottest young talents has been giving his take on why we should champion Africa. MK Asante Jr. has made it his life's work to celebrate the black diaspora's African roots.
It's not about pointing the finger, it's just about recognizing the history of where we live, right? How things got the way they are, right? I mean, there's a history there, it's documented, and so it's totally fine, right, and just to explore that history and to document that history. However, it's also important to recognize that regardless of who or what forces put us there, we are the only ones who are responsible for getting us out of that situation.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear.
Glitz, glamour, and gorgeous models. It's game time at the second annual Africa Fashion Week. At Africa Fashion Week, new design trends are showcased. I'm here today to meet with Ghanaian-born designer Mimi Plange. She's come back to home soil from her New York City base to showcase her label, Boudoir d'Itre. The designer, who has dressed music superstars like Rihanna, is excited to show her collection in Africa.
Africa is definitely the future, and there's so much opportunity here, there's so much growth that can happen.
She is inspired by the Victorian age, creating garments that are sensual and old world.
I don't think that there's many designers from Africa doing what I do, and I think that that's why it's going to work.
Poppie Mphuthing, E! News, Johannesburg.